So there's an electrical ratio of apprentice to journeyman electricians.
Right.
So as part of the apprenticeship, it's on-the-job training. So you got to get 8,000 hours of experience. There's a classroom training piece to it where you learn theory and all the other things that need to be taught in a classroom.
Yep.
And the other piece of it is to learn on the job.
Sure.
So they have a ratio to assure that you have enough supervision over a non-licensed or an unlicensed
Which makes sense.
registered
Yep.
apprentice.
Yep.
As they learn the craft, they can be followed up on, make sure they're doing it right? So you don't want a ratio that's too out of line where you
Right.
can't keep supervision on them.
But the challenge here in Minnesota, they put certain stipulations on you that we don't see anywhere else in the country.
Specifically to the renewable side of the business, Minnesota requires a 2-to-1 ratio on installation of structural steel used for the racking systems on a solar site. No other state in the country does that. You know, I didn't become an electrician because I wanted to set structural
Right.
steel, but on a solar site, to set structural steel, it has to be done by an electrician. But in this building, this structural steel doesn't have to be done.
How does that then challenge you? How does that give you and your industry, how does that put a challenge on what you do?
It challenges you because you have people that are electricians that wanted to do electrical work that are now asked to be carpenters or millwrights or install structural steel and set equipment. That's not what we went to an apprenticeship for. There's no training in an apprenticeship class around that,
Right.
and it's not electrical work, but in the state of Minnesota they call it electrical work.
It doesn't really make sense from your perspective, the expert.
It makes zero sense. In what they like to do at the state level is try and say it's for safety. Well, there's limited current that can flow on this grounding path, limited to 20 amps of current.
Right.
This building steel is also listed for grounding, and I have no limit to how much current I can
Right.
pass on the structural steel. Yet, this can be installed by a millwright, but my structural steel on a solar site has to be installed by an electrician.
Right.
Also, it has a fence around the outside of it that protects it from anybody that doesn't know what they're doing from coming in. So it's the right lobbying group or the wrong lobbying group, however you want to call it,
Yeah.
got to the right people before the legislation was enacted, and now it's electrical work.